So do you think any of the attractions at Bozeman were changed after information came out from the Enterprise E's trip to the past? Hello, geeks, freaks, and all those unique. This is Emcee Frodis, and we're talking about episode 1 of season 3 of Lower Decks, Grounded. This episode feels different than any episode that came before it, which is a pretty big deal considering Lower Decks' habit of breaking traditional episode formats with things like Veritas, Crisis Point, and Way Douge. Grounded takes this to another extreme. It took me a while to figure out what it was, and it's the fact that we're missing a central character, the Cerritos. That handsome lady is a vital part of the show, and without her, things feel weird. We become like Mariner, pacing and itching for things to happen. I think that this is the best way they could have handled Freeman being arrested. Lower Decks has already done the trial episode by skewering the heck out of it in Veritas. We also know that Freeman hadn't done what she was being accused of, and it's really hard to make comedy out of that. So we hand-wave it off, as we did with Shax coming back from the dead. Instead, we get a ridiculous adventure from our main characters. And it's just busy work. Mariner needs to feel like she's doing something, but honestly, I think the other lower deckers just wanted to keep her occupied. Tendi and Rutherford would have been fine just taking her to the Bozeman theme park. Which I'd like to talk about. I love that Bozeman has become a theme park. It's one of those things that could only be introduced in Lower Decks, but I think really enriches the world. The Federation often comes off like this merry utopia, where everything's perfect and everyone's a genius who works for the betterment of humanity. But also people should be still allowed to have fun and have Disneyland-like experiences. As is the tradition of Lower Decks, there was also some beautiful continuity. The statue LaForge mentions, even in the exact same pose he strikes. And hearing Magic Carpet Ride absolutely sent me. I'm not afraid to admit it's one of my favorite things from First Contact. It's just so ridiculous but works, and I'm glad it hasn't gotten lost in historical sanitation. While the whole experience of First Contact has become a larger-than-life mythological event, I'm really glad that the Federation recognizes its foibles. This episode really shows the more vulnerable side of Mariner. She needs to keep pursuing the case against Freeman, not because she really thinks she's going to find anything, but because she needs to do anything to distract her from the idea that her mom is in trouble. I can totally understand that from her. Although she does go to some pretty big extremes doing it. I think Freeman made the right choice in the end. She can't be responsible for Mariner because she just doesn't have the objectivity. We're also pretty much exhausted in the Freeman and Mariner don't get along dynamic. After 2 seasons, we know it's not true and it's just become a spinning wheel. Bringing Ransom in brings him more to the forefront in terms of characters and lets us really shake up the status quo. Honestly, this episode is just a solid okay from me. I think they'd gotten themselves into a pretty tough situation to get out of, and they did their best with it. Certainly there are other shows that have floundered on their cliffhangers, looking at you, Supernatural and Sherlock. At least Lower Decks took an episode to acknowledge the gravity of the situation, instead of being, lol, that ending was weird, but we're gonna get out of it right away. Still, there was a bit of rush to get everything back to normal, so that the whole season wasn't dedicated to Freeman being on trial. But all in all, I think they did a decent job with Lower Decks. I'm mostly looking to just get a laugh, and that's what I got, along with a little bit of heart, as you realize how much Mariner loves her mother, and how much Mariner's friends love her. This show just makes me happy, and I'm really glad to be able to get back to the wacky adventures of the Cerritos. So comment down below with your thoughts on Lower Decks Grounded. If you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. I do videos about Star Trek, Star Wars, and lots of other geeky things. If you want to support me, please visit my Patreon. You can also go to my TeePublic and Redbubble and buy my geeky graphic designs. So until next time, live long, and may the Force be with you.